the anthropologist Pascal Boyer has written at considerable length about the origins of the religious impulse in human beings.
I think there are major themes that you'll find in most religions in the world, but those things are not the things we're familiar with. So a concern for who created the world, for example, is not one of them. A concern for mortality, what's happening to me after death, is not one of them, in a surprising way. But the presence of unseen agents in the environment is one thing that you'll find everywhere. You'll find that there is some notion that there are spirits, ghosts, ancestors, agents of that kind that are sort of what I call counterintuitive, because they're not like you and me or animals. They don't have a physical body, but they have all the characteristics of agents, like a mind, intentions, and so on.
According to Pascal Boyer, this notion of unseen agents is not quite as counterintuitive as it might seem. It may actually be hardwired into our brains. In a primitive community, the accidents and misfortunes that inevitably happen make more sense if it's assumed that somebody or something actually intended them to happen. And strange coincidences, which are often genuinely hard to explain, make more sense if it's assumed that there is some hidden intention behind them. And those assumptions are often still made today.
It may seem strange to suggest that we are hardwired to suspect that we're threatened by potentially malign as opposed to merely harmful forces. But there may be good selective advantage to this tendency in a world in which you're surrounded by predators. Although there's always the possibility of making embarrassing mistakes and over-attributing agency, seeing intention where there's none at all, it's worth making the occasionally embarrassing false positive when the alternative is the catastrophic false negative. In other words, when you land up being lunch. And it's only one short step from avoiding genuine threats to believing that other misfortunes may also be the result of malign intentional forces, that they may be the result of hidden, even invisible intentions directed against you.
Now, what is it that makes that religious as opposed to what one might call, or what some people might call pejoratively, superstitious?
Well, it's your choice of terms, and I think it's just a human phenomenon that corresponds to what we generally call religion. I mean, what we tend to call religion is more this sort of institutional framework that uses those beliefs or that fosters those beliefs. But really those beliefs are there, institutional or not, and they're there in very simple societies where you don't have a church. But that's just one of the features. Another one you'll find is a propensity to organize rituals. To get together and do a whole set of things that are directed at those unseen agents in an organized way with a script that has to be rigidly followed.
So if rituals based upon beliefs in spirits and witches represent the origins of religion, can we find the origins of atheism in these primitive communities? In these pre-literate communities, would there be anything which corresponded to in what in literate communities would be the village atheist? Is there a village skeptic?
No, I don't think there would be a village skeptic. There are characters of that kind who would have become the village skeptic or the atheist in modern context. But in that kind of context, that's not really a role that you could choose. So
why not?
No. Well, because the kind of person who would say that witches do not exist, or that anti-witchcraft rituals are a joke, would be suspected of being a witch. Would be, who but a witch would go around saying there's no such thing as witchcraft?
So that even in very simple pre-literate communities with relatively simple social structures, there is a close relationship between village authority and village belief.
Well, very much so. I mean, most of those places are places where you do ancestor cult, and ancestor cults are cults about dead old men, organized by living old men who have authority over everyone else.